Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Here.
Hill?
Here.
Mingus?
Here.
Sutherland?
Here.
Mayor Call?
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the pledge.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and every day that you give us. In this new year, may God, the God of hope, fill you with all the joy and peace you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. May we all have hope for this year's issues, challenges, and endeavors. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on December 19, 2023 be approved as printed.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Decker, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting, aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Public comment. Anyone wish to address the council on an agenda item, please step forward. Sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name's Seth Landwehr. I live at 219 Newman Lane. I come to you in regards to a special use permit that I applied for, and I had the zoning board meeting on the 8th. It was in regards to steel siding on an accessory building that I have permitted. It's being contracted through FBI Buildings. Zoning board made a motion at the end of the evening, which I'm thankful for, but they made a motion for three-side steel and then for the front to be vinyl siding. I just come here today just to ask for your consideration in my original request for all four sides steel siding, as the vinyl siding is still creates a hardship financially to pay extra for that. Believe it or not, vinyl siding is, or actually it's the OSB that is the same price as the steel. So the vinyl siding on that, I would have to put rock facade on the front because I'd want it to match the house. This is just a barn that I've had planned out for a long time. Even when I built my house up there 8 years ago, I specifically built my house to the farthest side of my property line so I could eventually put this barn here. So the time's finally come that I'm able to build it. Unfortunately, my dreams and aspirations for this barn have tallied up financially, and every dollar counts at this point in time. So basically, that's my only request is for your consideration for my original request for four sides steel siding. The steel that's going to be going around my structure will match my house with red siding, dark brown trim and roofing, and then tan trim for the doors and the windows. So it will match my house pretty good. None of my neighbors have any issues with the steel siding as long as the colors are appropriately matching my house, which they are. So that's my only request.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it. Anyone else wish to address the council? Please step forward.
Hi, my name is Jack Bob. I have my wife Leslie here. We want to speak regarding the same topic.
Okay.
In fact, I brought some pictures because I believe pictures say 1,000 words. So I would like to pass those out to you if that's
Yeah,
okay.
if you don't mind, hand those to Ty. He can hand them out.
What you're about to see is a picture of our house, a single-family residential property on 3.6 acres.
Can you speak in the microphone, sir?
Yeah, you might want to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just have him wait till he hands Ty the thing and then.
So just repeating for your convenience. So what you're about to see is a picture of our house, which is directly across the street from Seth's house and the accessory structure that Seth wants to build. What is it at issue? First of all, just for additional background information, we have a 3.6 acre property. It spans from Newman Drive, and it has entrances on Newman Drive and on Newman Lane. We worked very, very hard on this property as well for 10 years. You'll notice that it has genuine rough sawn cedar siding on the house itself. If you look at Seth's place, I know it's winter time, but if you look in the lower portion of this photograph, on the left side of the screen, or left side of the bottom picture, you'll notice that these commercial metal buildings on the left side. There's one on the left, that's not Seth's property, but there's also another one. Unfortunately, because of the lighting, you can't quite see. But there's another metal structure on the back left of Seth's house, from our perspective. And the appearance is unquestionably, it's commercial. And not only that, but what was discussed at the last council meeting was the siding itself that would be on the separate accessory structure. And actually, that's not the biggest issue for us. The biggest issue is that there is a gigantic, oversized, commercial metal door, both high and wide. It looks like an industrial complex. I mean,
this was I don't know if you all have a copy of this was what was handed out at the last meeting, and we only, after requesting multiple times, and I was not able to attend, only just learned that the elevation that is facing the street, the Newman Lane, and our home is the side with the huge garage door. So we would frankly, like Jack just said, even be fine with metal all around if it matches the house, as long as this is not the side that faces our home. We feel this detracts from our property value. It looks like a barn. Any of the other sides we would be fine with it. And again, fine with metal. And I'm surprised, again, not having been at that last meeting myself, I'm surprised if the zoning committee approved the variance, if they knew the aesthetic was unpleasant, and therefore they approved a variance of having metal, or not having metal siding, having a different material of siding on the front of the property. Were they aware that, obviously I've not measured it, but it appears that a third to a half of this side of the
half or more.
This side is a huge garage door, an oversized non-residential garage door. So the fact that the zoning committee even approved based on the aesthetic, I just wonder if when one looks at what was passed out at the meeting, to us it appeared that this side with the large expanse of red siding was the side that would face our property.
Yeah, we had to ask 4 times for information about what exactly was being planned for built, and we just very recently got that information.
So again, it just seems, with the zoning committee knowing that the aesthetic is a concern for our property value, just the aesthetic of, to us, changing a very small amount of siding from metal to some other material is not the issue to us. The issue to us is the huge, oversized, barn-like
Right,
garage.
because again, if this is your home, think about all the windows looking out at the home, and what we'd be looking at is this huge barn-like structure with this oversized, tall and wide commercial garage steel door. So there's a minimal amount of siding around that garage door. That's not the issue for us at all. What's at issue for us is the fact that it doesn't look like a residential structure that's commensurate with our house or frankly any other house. No other homeowner that I know of is subjected to having this huge commercial barn-like structure, frankly, with chickens in it and the neighbors next door. We're very, very concerned about that. We think that it would greatly impact our property values.
So again, that's our concern, is the orientation that would face our property. So if the orientation were turned to either of the other orientations, wherever this went, we would be fine with that. We're fine with the metal. It's
Yeah. In fact, we have another counter proposal to try to make this work for Seth. So right now, our scenario that we're living with is all of the rooms on the front side of our house would have to face this monstrosity. What would make it much better for us was if this barn-like structure can simply be moved to the far rear of Seth's home, the angle of where Seth's home is at, it would block our view of it, and that would be a much more acceptable solution for us.
Although our preference would be the orientation, based on knowing there would be another gravel driveway, and our preference would be to spin the orientation. Strong preference. Secondarily, move it towards the back, or a
Save
combination of.
discussion for when we bring it forward, if you don't mind, unless you have questions for them.
I have questions for them.
Do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the orientation of your house, because your address is actually Newman Drive, I believe.
Correct. Our houses consist of 3 parcels. When our home was first built by the original owner a long time ago, it was designed to be a passive solar house. So it was built in 1986. So when a home was built, it was turned facing due southwest so that the sun could come into all the windows through the entire front side of the house, bake the tile in those rooms, and you'd run the HVAC system with the fan on all the time to disperse that warm air throughout the house. So that's why it's turned that way.
So the orientation faces direct. It doesn't face the street, Newman Lane. It faces towards Newman Lane. So Newman Lane goes this way, and we face at an angle directly towards.
I just wanted to clarify, it was not, your true face wasn't Newman Drive, because again,
Correct.
your address was assigned
That's
typically
right.
where you face.
Exactly.
It's an interesting property.
When our home was first built, it would consist of one land parcel, was this big parcel you see here. Over the years, the original owner purchased 2 additional parcels to the north of the property so that he could drive out onto Newman Drive as well. So he purchased two parcels. He built another pool house right next door, and then this other land parcel was just so that he could drive. He had the convenience of driving on Newman Drive, exiting and entering on Newman Drive instead of just on Newman Lane.
Another clarifying question, because your issue then is not the size.
My issue, I think, personally, Jack can speak for himself. Personally, I think if one of the other 2 orientations is picked, besides the large garage door, I think it makes it even look like a more desirable property there, as it looks larger, more expansive, more.
Yeah, so acceptable solutions for us would be spinning the accessory building so that all of the rooms on the front of our house don't have to face this humongous metal commercial garage door.
And additionally,
alternatively, what I'm saying is that if they wanted to keep the accessory building in the same general location, if they simply move that accessory building all the way to the rear of the property, their own home will block our view of that accessory structure.
however, in that instance, Jack has talked with Ty previously
yes.
about the possibility, we've not done it yet, who knows if we ever will, of parceling out, we call it the football field, a huge area in the front of our house. Our front face is just a huge, that we were thinking about subdividing at some point, which would be more tax money for the city. And we're also concerned, even moving this barn-like structure to the back of the property, that would then be the primary view of that piece of land as well. So it would make it more detrimental to selling that, someone wanting to build a house,
Yeah.
knowing it would face
Okay.
this.
I do, not to interrupt you, but I
Sure.
want to be respectful
Yes,
of
time.
everyone's time.
Sure.
Typically, we allow 5 minutes. Are there any other questions while they're standing here?
Quick, it just, the home, I remember when it was built. Did you say it was originally addressed to Newman Drive?
It is now.
No.
Their
Okay.
address is.
Originally, it was Newman Lane.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Is there, because, again, the GIS system has 409, which is inconsistent with the numbering on the lane, but is consistent with the numbering on the drive.
Yes, our address is Newman Drive.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, there was
but we face Newman Lane.
For the
They
record,
have
there
2
was a
driveways coming
home,
off
there
of
was
them.
an old cinder block schoolhouse at the junction of Newman Drive and Newman Lane. And the original owner bought that house, demoed it, demolished it. That property was 411 Newman Drive. So that's the history of it. Now, So I just wanted, the last thing I just want to say is that my wife has made an excellent point here regarding our future interest in the possibility of subdividing this 1 acre plat right in the front of our house. We can't do that nearly as well if the view from that perspective, from that potential house has the same view of this very large commercial garage door.
Okay, very good. Well, we appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council on an agenda item? Please step forward.
I'm Steve Kerr with Moore & Kerr Engineering. I'm here to represent RCC Real Estate Group, which is basically River City's real estate arm. They bought the Danco building, and I think you guys may be aware it's a very, very irregular shaped lot that is very constrained as far as setbacks and as far as being able to do a whole lot with it. River City has purchased that to basically supplement some of their construction yard with basically MR Mason is going to move some of their construction support into that Danco building. There's a 600 square foot addition that's on the warehouse that we're tearing down because it's in pretty poor condition. And then we're going to rebuild 900 square feet, and those are approximate numbers in its place. That 900 square feet is over the setbacks, which the building itself is already over the setbacks, and I don't think that's an issue here. Ty has told us that in the ordinance, in the zoning commission hearing, we asked that we not have to pave the parking lot. It's gravel right now, and the access into it is gravel across the adjacent property. And we requested that on our plan, we show the parking areas are all paved and the ADA spaces are paved, but we showed the gravel parking lot to remain. And that was supported by the zoning commission. And the reason that it's gravel, there's very little, there's no public, it's not open to the public. There may be times when suppliers drop off samples. I wouldn't say the public is never there, but for the most part, it's all their employees. Basically a place where they are in the morning moving trucks in and out, pickup trucks and with trailers in and out of this yard. So we would like to ask that the ordinance be approved as it was in the Planning Commission. And if that can't be supported because we're afraid that there may be a change of use or there may be something else, we would, if we wouldn't mind that if something was written in the special use, that if the use changed in any way, that we would have to pave that parking lot. But right now what's happening is we had to come to the Planning Commission because of the offsets on the addition that we're adding back on, and that kicked in the gravel being replaced. And while it's an economic issue for sure, this is a situation where if we just moved in, if MR Mason just moved into that building, we wouldn't have to replace. And am I correct there? We wouldn't have to do anything if we just moved in.
If you moved in without making changes, that necessarily wouldn't be a part of that conversation, the paving.
Right. So we're asking that it be approved as it was at the zoning commission hearing.
Very good. All right.
I have a question. Where's the property located?
It's on Hoffer Lane, right in front of River City Construction.
Oh, over by Pinecrest.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Pinecrest. Yes.
When you're facing River City, it's off to the left.
Gotcha.
Sort of like at the top of Fay Hollow.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Pardon?
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council on an agenda item? Seeing no one? Oh. All right. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Don Bittner. I'm Seth's son-in-law. Concerning his address in the building on 219 Newman. I find it kind of odd that someone across the road would be so concerned about aesthetics when they've had a whole row of ugly orange traffic cones lining their entrance of their driveway on Newman Lane with a no trespassing sign on each and every one of them. How ugly can that be? So he's had, and I know this for, he's had a grudge ever since Seth built the house, him and Stacy, because he didn't want him to build that house on that property because he liked the view. And so this is just, I believe, a carryover of his grudge. Seth takes care of this Newman Lane with his own tractor, his own money, his own resources, his own time. He grades that, he plows it. He's the only one with his expense, his equipment, his time. I think this is just a grudge. That's all it is. Thank you.
Sir. Appreciate it. No, we're not going to get in tit for tat. Yeah, you had your time. Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council? I'm seeing no one. Commissioner Hill, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a consent agenda consisting of items numbered 1 through 7. Item number 1, adoption of resolution number 2324-121, resolution to approve payment of the scheduled bills listed on schedules numbered 15 and 16 in the amount of $3,583,623.36 and $897,626.58. Item number 2, adoption of resolution number 2324-110 on second reading. Resolution approving annual renewal of software maintenance and support services from Harris Computer Systems for the city's enterprise software system. Item number 3, adoption of ordinance number 4774 on second reading, an ordinance amending the hotel motel tax provisions of the East Peoria City Code to include online facilitation of short-term rental units. Item number 4, adoption of resolution number 2324-109 on second reading. Resolution approving agreement with Midwest Engineering Associates to provide design, construction, and engineering services for Phase 3 Pinecrest Drive Pavement Patching Project. Item number 5, adoption of resolution number 2324-111 on second reading. Resolution approving revised contract arrangement for acquisition of new dump truck for the city's Public Works Department. Item number 6, adoption of resolution number 2324-112. On its second reading, resolution to approve contract for construction manager services agreement with the River City Construction LLC for pre-construction and construction services for new police station project on Camp Street. Item number 7, adoption of resolution number 2324-108 on its second reading, resolution approving 5-year service and licensing agreement with Flock Safety for the East Peoria Police Department's automatic license plate reader system as listed on the agenda for this meeting to be considered by omnibus vote.
I have a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Any discussion? And roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move you that items numbered 1 through 7 listed on the consent agenda be hereby approved and adopted, and items number 2 through 7, having been read once by their title and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection, be adopted as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4766, here to attach an ordinance amending the City of East Peoria zoning code to adjust hours of operation for cannabis dispenser areas in the City of East Peoria, be accepted on its first reading as read by the title, and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
What we have here is that, I guess, a realization that we have one Currently, we have one licensed cannabis facility in the United States, in East Peoria, and we have two others that have been approved with the proper uses. And so, one thing we realized that the current operation is outside of what our ordinance, when we originally defined this ordinance years ago. We just, I don't say we arbitrarily, we established 7 p.m. as the late close time. And now we've come to realize that the one operation that's operating here has been operating at least till 9 o'clock. And so 8 p.m. on Monday through Thursday or some. So the ask here is that we are going to change our ordinance to the later hours of 8 p.m. most nights and 9 p.m. Thursday through Saturday. So again, we are just, based on our experience of not having problems with the current operation, we are, that's what's in front of us, adjusting the code tonight. The ZBA had recommended with a vote of 7-0 for recommended pass. Approval.
I think it's important to note that we have not had a single issue. If people recall, the city allowed medical marijuana when we opened the dispensary back in like 2015. We've not had a single issue out of whether it be the medical side or the recreational side. And as the second one prepares to open, he brought it to our attention. He would like to carry on the same hours, which made us go back and realize that we arbitrarily came up with opening and closing time back when we agreed to allow these many years ago without basically establishing the hours and enforcing them. So I personally support the change in hours. We've not, had we had any issues, it'd be one thing. We've had 0. So any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4775 here to attach, an ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real estate or real property located at 435 Taylor Street and adjacent parcels located at 429, 433, and 437 East Washington Street in the city of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus.
The petitioner, Mr. Gary Donaldson, owns these properties today, and if you're not familiar, he's got a, I believe, I'll call it a hair salon on one. One used to be Tucker's Barbershop, which went to be a craft store or some sweet shop before. But all these properties right now Gary Donaldson owns, and currently they're B2. And the properties, the funeral homes are B3 in the current area, so he's asking for it to be rezoned to B3, which opens up the other opportunities for these properties. But, and it's consistent with neighboring properties. And here again, the ZBA had recommended 7-0 for approval.
Yeah, and I think it'd be helpful for him to fill that space that is now vacated from the sweet shop that just couldn't make it. That's a tough location for a small business like that. It was one thing when it was a barber shop, it was the destination versus a retail shop, so I think it'd be helpful. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4776 here to attach, an ordinance authorizing a special use for property located at 51 Hoffer Lane to continue and modify the non-conforming uses of the property located in the city of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
Okay, we heard already tonight. So what we've got is the RCC real estate, and you've already got pretty much the details in the first part of the meeting. So what we've got is that property And again, I want to say the contentious part, it's already non-conforming, and altering the building, as it does in any situation in our city, brings in any updating the properties to any of our existing codes. And one of them being, we require hard surface we require hard surface paving for all businesses. The only times we don't is a yard where stuff may be stored on. But in this particular case, we have the entrance, as the gentleman already discussed, and the park and the entire hard surface structure around the building. So the ZBA had voted 5-2, recommended approval of the special use, and again, that's the non-conforming part. But they did have the ZBA was not upholding our ordinances in their recommendation of 5-2. So that's what we're having in front of us today. The recommendation is that to require, as part of the special use, that the parking services are hard surfaced from the drive all the way in all areas around, parking around the building be hard surfaced. And so that's what we have here. And I don't say the petitioner mentioned the future use. That's one thing that I guess I would encourage our council to keep in mind what our ordinances are, so that we don't continue to self-create non-conforming properties ourselves. So that's one thing that goes into, again, requesting the hard surface for this property.
Yeah, I'd open it up for discussion. This is just personally, this is kind of a tough one because, while I understand what you're saying, the business that had been there previously obviously had gravel. It wasn't paved. Now, to the commissioner's point, we do require by city code for folks, you change that use, you got to come in, and then you do have to conform with the updated codes. What I'm hearing to ask is put something in there to say if the use changes in the future, then they'd have to pave it. We're kind of already there, in a sense, I think. I'm struggling with this one. Because on one hand, I can see there was a business in there for many years that wasn't paved. Now, we've updated our codes. We require the pavement on this side. So you're basically saying, listen, whatever we decide here, we got to be consistent moving forward as well. So either we view it as, hey, we changed the city code, this is a requirement, the use has changed. If we don't adhere to that, where's that place us down the road for the next business to come with the same ask? If we're not consistent, I'm just concerned with, just personally, and I'd open it up. I think we need to have a discussion here. I'd like to hear from the commissioners, see where everyone stands.
Yeah, I would like to throw my 2 bits in. I'm not near as big as River City, but I know what it's like to unload trucks and stuff like that on a paved anything when you're using a skid steer or a forklift or a backhoe. It becomes jerky and becomes dangerous. And back when I built my first house, I'm dating myself, 1973, I believe. That's when the city started bringing in, along with other cities, the codes to hard paved driveways for residential and parking lots and stuff. And the reason that they said they were going to do that was because of dust control. Well, I built a duplex and it's never been paved. It's always been white rock, and I came in and got grandfathered in. But just up on the city council back in those days, we had a blacktopper that was sitting up here. And we had, before that, we had a concrete guy sitting up here. I understand that their point is that it's a good deal for them to get, back in the day, to get business going and force it in. But the people that have white rock roads and driveways and stuff are not a nuisance to this community whatsoever. And for us to write down in the codes that they should be hard paved, give me a damn good reason why they should be hard paved. We can box ourselves into a corner by rewriting and giving okays to this person, not that person, when this is kind of a free country, and I think that if there's wheelchairs involved, if there's school kids involved, if there's lots of parking of automobiles involved, then we should have maybe a say-so. But until then, this is a perfect example of why not to do it, much less giving them a break.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just ask a question, Your Honor. So I pulled this up because I was trying to place this property. So I pulled up on Google Maps. It looks like, is the driveway coming in off of Hoffer Lane, that is paved?
He can answer that.
The parcel itself that we're talking about does not connect directly to Hoffer Lane.
Right.
It comes across the other River City property, and the entrance comes off of Hoffer Lane onto the gravel drive that's on the other River City property, which isn't in question, correct? We would just have to pave M.R. Mason's lot, right?
And this would be access from the paved road to,
So we'd have to pave off of the parcel.
Correct.
Okay, so I wasn't assuming that. But then also, so right now, it's access off of a gravel road that's not even on so if somebody else bought this property that wasn't associated with River City, I don't know how you could force them to pave River City's property.
So I guess I'm looking, and Ty, I see River City's property, and then 51 Hoffer is kind of across the road, and so that road going to it then is not paved. It looks like it's somewhat paved on here, but
I think it's falling apart.
if you look at it, I mean, if you go out there, there's some semblance of whatever was there. It's clearly dissolved or disintegrated over time. So, I mean, it's for all practical purposes, acts like gravel.
And I think the neighbor to the north has constructed an entrance unbeknownst to anybody to get into their backyard.
That's another matter.
yeah, I definitely I see that. So River City owns this property.
Well, RCC Real Estate
which is an arm of it.
will own both properties, but they won't be joined.
And so they would need to, what they're asking, Ty, is to pave this entry road or fix this entry road to make it nicer, and then there's a little lot there, and I see two kind of like off the side, and then a lot. Those would have to be hard. You're asking for hard.
Well, so to be clear, their request is to pave only areas where they're going to park in front of the building.
Yeah, we're only, our site plan only shows the parking places that are designated. I think there's 4 or 5 parking spaces, one of them ADA, that has a sidewalk to the front door. So we're accommodating the wheelchair access, and we're also showing the other, but you know, there may be cars and trailers moving in and out all over the place there.
So what's up for debate then, or is the entryway that's coming in?
Correct. Access to those parking spaces from the access point all the way to the parking spaces to be paved.
So as it's written, what's before us is he's required to pave the space.
The recommendation from staff is to be consistent with the code requirement. The zoning board's recommendation was to approve what they had requested, which was just to pave the parking areas.
So which one's written?
How's it, that's the question.
So what winds up in the ordinance, what's in the ordinance, and I can look at Scott here, but it is what staff is recommending based upon the code requirements.
Okay.
So
And precedent, correct me if I'm wrong, in construction yards that haven't been accessible to the public, we have been able to use gravel. If it's parking lots that are accessible to the public, then we would pave them.
Typically, yes.
I wouldn't say on the ones we've asked for in the past. Ellis Lumber on Pinecrest would be a similar situation where the yard in the back is gravel, but everything open to the public was paved.
So I guess my 2 cents would be looking, I think I understand why we have the rules that we have, but this piece of property seems to sit back. It's not in view of really much of anything, correct? If you're not, I mean, it's not like it's coming off of a major road, and that's why we're graveling it to make it match the rest of the parking lots. This is kind of a piece of property that's not in very good shape from what it looks like. That's what it looks like from the aerial view, and is it empty right now? And an empty piece of property that you guys want to do something with, and you are going to pave a portion of it where you're going to put parking, correct? So you're going to upgrade that. You're just basically wanting to have the gravel entrance off of it.
Yeah, I don't want to mislead you. We're only our plan is only showing the pavement where the physical cars would be parked. The aisles we're showing are going to be gravel just like they are now.
Sure, I understand. So I guess I tend to agree with Commissioner Sutherland on some of these where I think we write rules and the rules are hard to apply to everybody at every single situation. So I would not be opposed to allowing them to do what their plan would be, which would be to pave where the cars would be parked and to allow that road to continue to be gravel.
But would that be with a yes vote or a no vote?
Oh, you'd have to make a motion to amend it as written, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Mayor. Yeah, you can make a motion to amend the ordinance as written that would do as requested by the petitioner, which would just pave the parking area that's shown on their site plan. So the ordinance right now has an exhibit that shows, Exhibit B, that shows a site plan. The site plan has defined what they plan to pave, and we can amend this ordinance so that it would track that. And I can help you get there if that's what the motion is.
Yeah, well, let me allow Commissioner Decker, I think, is the only one that hasn't weighed in, and if you want to be curious here.
The ordinance is not the way the board approved, correct?
Recommended, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we have an item here a little bit later that the ordinance is the way the board approved. That does surprise me too. I was thinking that the ordinance reflected the approval of the board's recommendation. So the question I have, I just want to make sure the lane, the road that their driveway turns off of, is that gravel or is that paved?
It's paved, and then there's a gravel road off of the paved.
Yeah, I would say right now it resembles gravel. At one time, it may, if you look, I think they just added gravel over.
I gotcha. Okay.
Probably an A3 or like a seal-coated road or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to decipher from the pictures that we're staring at, so it's a good question.
Well, I'm a little bit confused that if the zoning board approved it one way and then it was written up for us to approve another way, then why do we have a zoning board? I mean, we're
Well, I spent 19 years on the zoning board, and I can guarantee the council did not follow everything that we ever passed them.
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying, if the office people can change what the zoning board has recommended, then why have them?
Well, I can say I can weigh in, and I did. Again, this city is far from being consistent, and I've been trying for going on 5 years to make it more consistent. And again, you know, in this case, other than somebody doesn't want to do it, we have those all the time. All the time. Well, it's just not convenient for me to follow the ordinance. I say too bad.
Yeah, bad attitude.
No, it's not. It's give me a true reason other than.
Well, this is a true reason.
What?
Have you ever been on a piece of construction equipment and tried to unload something on pavement? I'm not saying it's impossible because people do it all the time, but it's very hard on everything. Equipment is not supposed to be meant like that.
There's this recommendation for where right now, the entrance and the parking area, they're going to minimally pave in the parking area.
Okay,
I mean, it's like the spot the car sits under, so it's not.
I agree with that.
Require of everybody else.
I agree with that. I just don't think the whole lot ought to be paved because Guys, anybody that's ever pulled a trailer knows not to turn as hard as you can with a trailer because the tires try to come off the wheels sideways. Just because of that, if it's an industry where they're not worried about dust and residents and stuff, which they're not, then why not just let them go to work and be safe about it? Because that's not the way construction equipment runs. It's just not, and that's what this place is.
Commissioner Decker, anything else you want to add? Or?
I understand why the ordinance is there. I also remember conversations years back relating to, I think it had to do with a garage, paving to a garage, and we changed the ordinance at one point that if the, I can't remember what percentage or majority of the neighborhood was rock, then we changed it so they didn't necessarily have to pave it. And that was standing out in my mind. I'm thinking of the rest of the area and thinking that, well, yes, River City, obviously, they have their property, but this is kind of by itself, and there's not really a good depiction of what the rest of the area is. But I am really thrown that, and I understand what Commissioner Sutherland's saying, if the board sent us a recommendation, but we're not voting on that. You know, we're voting on a different recommendation, so I was surprised by that. I was willing to support that. I'd also be willing to support the minimal paving in this case. They are making improvements to the property in a couple different ways, and it sounds like the lane, although was blacktop at one point, has not been maintained. So I would be okay with it being the minimal paving as well.
If I could add one more thing too, Commissioner, to your point, it's not like they're putting a new road in, they're just using the existing road, which I think a lot of times we talk about that like, hey, I'm going to build a garage and I'm going to build a driveway back to that garage, and that's where we say we want that hard pavement, right, if it matches, but this is just using the existing road that's there. They're not putting a new road in to do anything. So that leads me to say, so if that's 3 votes to amend, and I'll probably look at Scott because I know that it's iffy. If that's 3 votes to allow them to use the existing road and do the minimal paving, what do we?
So someone would need to make a motion to amend, and this is where I'm going to lean on Scott to tell you exactly what to say to make that motion. And then is what would then happen, then we would call for a vote on the motion to amend it.
Can I ask one more clarifying question? All right, so what we're amending, when we amend it, that will actually be what the recommendation from ZBA was?
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yes. That would follow the ZBA's vote of 5-2. Yep.
So for these gentlemen to make that motion, and I don't care which one does it, but how would you term that?
So we just need to have a motion to amend ordinance 4776, part 2 of section 2, that petitioner shall install paving in accordance with site plan, because that's their site plan currently, as Mr. Kerr pointed out, currently provides for paving for the parking area. So that's number 2, instead of requiring all the surfaces to be paved, would just require the paving to be installed consistent with their site plan that they presented to the zoning board.
You want it?
So
Yeah, if you can think you can remember everything he just said in your.
So moved?
Yes.
I'll state what it is. You just need to say, I make a motion to amend accordingly. So it'd be an amendment, it'll be a motion to amend ordinance number 4776 by amending part 2 of section 2 to read that petitioner shall install paving in accordance with site plan.
Yes, that's how I want to amend it.
may I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Just real quick, throw it out there as part of a discussion, and I want to be respectful because I understand both sides. That's why I say I'm struggling with this. I myself want to be consistent in that I've said this all along. If we don't like our city code, these 5 individuals sitting up here, that's their job to change it. Out of concern of what that does moving forward if we deviate from our current city code, which is what is being amended to do. I have concerns with that. I have no problem with the council coming back and changing city code to allow circumstances like this, but since that's not the way the code's written today, I agree with Commissioner Hill in that I feel we need to be consistent. Not saying it's the right thing, but it's the way the code's written. So I won't support the amendment, but I respect anyone that wants to do that, so.
And Your Honor, just because I think you have a valid point there, that I'm still going to support the amendment, but how do you write a code that's not all encompassing? So like, we have a lot of codes that's like, this is the code, but then in this particular piece of property, that code doesn't really make sense. And so
I agree.
to me, that's where I struggle with all encompassing codes is like, that doesn't, I do think things have to be dealt with on an individual basis, which we've looked at with those things, with certain issues. Like, we're going to look at an individual basis and make a decision on it. Because I think you're right. Like, I don't like voting against what our code is, but I really struggle with all-encompassing rules. That this is the rule, and we're a city of 24,000 people, and we've got hills and valleys, and we've got different types of neighborhoods with different structures and different driveways, and we try to make a rule that encompasses all of them. And to me, that doesn't make sense. Like, there's a lot of gray in decisions. It's not always black and white. So I don't know how do you do that?
I understand. That's why I say I struggle with it.
Here's the
Can I-
unfortunate thing with this case, is this case was about the non-conformant that it already is, nothing to do with the driveway. It has to do with the
But
setbacks.
we're the ones that made it about the driveway, though.
Well, because we, as a city, are enforcing our ordinances.
Guys, just take a look at what the government in small towns and big towns have done. And the city of Peoria is dealing with this in a non-rational, greedy way by having a water tax. So we make somebody pave their parking lot when it's unnecessary, and then we tax them for it if we're the city of Peoria. And we have problems with our creeks overrunning now in East Peoria and our streets getting flooded because there's not enough saturation and evaporation as much as there is runoff. We got to have some common sense here, and if we have to pick and choose every once in a while, it's not a matter of whether Mark's right or I'm right. It's a matter of doing the right thing at the right time of life, and with everything going on in the world, I think this is the right thing to do, and it's a very small thing to ask.
Well, fair enough, so let's remain respectful, because I don't think we'll all agree on this, and that's fine, too. That's why people elect us. So there's a motion to amend, a second, and we'll go ahead and do a roll call on the motion to amend.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
No,
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
No.
I have 3 ayes and 2 noes.
Very
Your Honor.
good. So the motion to amend carries. So now, do we have to approve the amended?
Yes, Your Honor, you approve the ordinance as amended.
All right, may I have a motion to approve as amended?
I'll make the
Commissioner
motion.
Sutherland?
I'll make a motion to approve the motion as amended.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sutherland. Very good. No other discussion okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
no.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
No.
I have 3 ayes and 2 noes.
Very
Your Honor.
good. So it's been amended. Motion carries. Very good. Yes. Yep. There'll be a second reading. No, because it was a split vote. Is what we'll probably do, Commissioner Sutherland will not be present at the next meeting, so is what we'll do, we'll put the second reading probably off until, yeah. Yep. Ty will be in touch. All right, thank you. Very good. Commissioner?
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4777 hereto attached, an ordinance authorizing a special use for an additional accessory structure on property located at 219 Newman Lane in the city of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois. Be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mangus.
We already heard at the beginning of the meeting, again, in this particular case, the special use was in part because of the square footage of this and an additional structure, accessory structure, which must have been shed because the total square footage of the two of them would only be 1,400 square feet. So that was in part what the ordinance was. One comment I did want to make was we have ordinances, and whether everybody up here likes them or not, we have ordinances against steel metal buildings. And part of that ordinance says that the face has to be dissimilar information. So it wasn't that they did not like the aesthetics, according to, the BOFs that the ZBA was upholding, or at least using our ordinance to say that front face must have dissimilar information or dissimilar materials from the metal building. So it wasn't, it wasn't for your benefit of it being, not aesthetically pleasing, but it was ordinance-based. So I did want to say that. So what we've got here, again, we got the 5-2 to vote from the zoning board with the facade facing the street must be code acceptable material, not sheet metal. So again, that is code today on sheet metal related buildings that are allowed. Then it has to have a dissimilar, and that's why I think the wording was code acceptable material, whether that's vinyl siding or whether that's something else, but it's not necessarily, it's not specified as vinyl siding here. So, again, there's properties out there. We heard some different issues than the zoning board heard as far as placement of it back in the lot. There wasn't any, not to my knowledge, there's nothing in this particular case in front of us that was asking of that. But I believe I printed something that, again, I think I got through either an email, I don't know if we all got it from Ty, but it was the response to the BOFs as far as a little bit blurry, because I was trying to decipher where this particular building was going to sit. The way I'm looking at it here, to me it looks like it's very blurry. I don't know if you guys looked at what. It's just slightly behind the back plane of the house, according to what I've got here. Now, the BOFs are asking for it to be all the way at the back of the property and the orientation be turned. And so right now, I'm not sure my position on that. I mean, would that be a nice thing for the guy to do? But what's on the table tonight, or right in front of you today, is the 5-2 vote recommended for the special use from the zoning board with the dissimilar information, or as it stated, the code acceptable material on the front. There was no question, no directions or comments coming from the zoning board related to the orientation of the front of the building. So with that being said,
turn it over for discussion. Commissioners, anyone care to weigh in?
I do, Mayor.
Yeah.
So the issue is obviously the siding, also the size of the structure, as I understand it. Those are the two main issues. The size of the accessory structure.
The size, from the city's perspective of why they had to come, was because it did exceed the 1,250 feet.
Okay.
So that's the limit of our concern of the size. So they had to come, explain. And in this particular case, I want to say from my experience, because of the acreage, over acreage size of the lot, it probably is not uncommon for them to accept having, two buildings, one being maybe a shed, but of 1,400 square feet on that size of a property.
To the commissioner's point, we've had an ample amount, at least in the close to 9 years I've been sitting up here, of similar things come forward to the city council. So this isn't unique.
One question I have is, and I wish I would have attended this meeting, was there a vote, Ty, was there a vote on the original request for it to be, and they rejected that and said no, and then
He's talking about it being
supported
all
it.
steel
So the
versus,
deliberations, there was some discussion about the facade, and what they landed on was a recommendation to do something different than metal facade on the face of the building, what faces the street. But there was some discussion with that, but I'm not sure I'm answering your question.
so the
Well-
way it's written now, though, it would be required to have something different on the front.
Correct.
The reason I asked that, and just listening to some of the comments and, the comments earlier, I've talked to 4 people about this that live on that street, and I've not spoken with them, but I knew they were in opposition. The others are not in opposition. They contend that, I was a little concerned or thrown off by the chickens comment. That's not an issue with this, right?
No,
There are-
listen, what's before us is strictly based on the structure,
Right.
and we need to focus on that. We
Yeah.
can't get bogged down in some of the other stuff going on there.
The home was originally on Newman Lane, and that was cleared up. It is more facing Newman Drive. The home to the left, I guess, if I'm looking at it, has an outbuilding. And this building will be on the same side of their house as that building would be. So they would be somewhat together. I heard Mrs. Boff state that no problem with the size of the building. Also, no problem if it was an entirely metal structure. So the one person or the one family that we know of that are in opposition, they don't have a problem with the size of the building, and they didn't have a problem with the steel structure. It was the orientation, and I don't think that's before us. I'm going to support this. I would also support it, I believe, it's not in front of us like that, as an entire steel structure.
Commissioner?
So this one's probably, I'll I'll say what I'm going to say, and if you guys have comments and.
Yeah, she wanted to remark on something he had stated that she said. So I'll afford you the opportunity after the commissioners are done.
So when it comes, this is probably a little bit tougher for me than the last one because I have no issue with the structure. So like the mayor said, we've approved these structures probably once every other month. We approve, maybe that's an exaggeration, but we've approved a lot of them with no issue. So as far as the structure, I have no issue with it. It's your property. You want to build a structure on your property. My opinion has always been, I think I've been consistent with that property rights, you own property, you want to build a structure on it, that's your right. Everybody may not agree with it, and that's okay, but it's your property. Do with it what you want. Do with it what you want. We do have some rules as far as when we say do with it what you want. That's what our zoning is, and I think that's where we probably have discussion and debates up here over what the appropriate zoning would be. The location, I don't think, is up for discussion. I think Commissioner Decker is right on that. So really, the only thing that I see being up for discussion is, A, are we okay with the property, or building the structure, which I am, and then the front of the structure, what should that be made out of? I understand why we have that, and this is a little bit, like I said, because we're building a new structure, but I struggle with some of the rules, like want to build a structure, all the neighbors are okay with it being all steel. I understand the financial impact that it would be to not make it all steel, and I think you can make it look really nice. I mean, it sounds like you've got plans to do that. So I would tend to agree with Commissioner Decker that if that's what you want to do with your property and you're willing, that's what you want to do, I don't see why I should have a right to tell you that you can't do that.
Commissioner?
I'm gonna come at it kind of from that point of view, and that is that it is your property. You can pretty much do, as far as I'm concerned, what you want to do. But it is a pole barn, am I correct? Well, most people, and I'm not here to educate you, and I hope I get this 100% right, a pole barn will fall down without the sides being up. So in other words, a farmer, when they invented this pole barn, built the structure to be the cheapest, strongest known to God and man at the time. And so if you build a pole barn with a pole sticking up and you leave the roof off, it's going to fall down. A house doesn't do that. If you build a pole barn and put the roof on and don't put the sides on, it's going to fall down, because that's the way they're structured. That's the integrity. To get back that integrity, to put vinyl siding on, the gentleman is exactly correct. You have to put plywood on purlings. There's 7 or 8 foot or 9 foot, depends on who's building the building, in between the structure. And so there's 2x4s running side to side, and then you have to fill that gap in because you're not running the steel up and down vertically. I have a problem with us trying to tell a pole barn company how to build a pole barn and making somebody else spend way more money to get its integrity back because of our rules and regulations. The only thing that I would have to say, and that is, if we're allowed to build pole barns in this city, big or small, then it's not up to us to how to put steel on a pole barn. If we don't want steel in our city, then don't approve pole barns.
Okay. Ma'am, did you want to, Commissioner Decker, you mentioned her by name, and she said that she didn't agree with something you said. So just keep it short and sweet, whatever he said wrong.
Sure,
if you.
right. To clarify, my statements were meant as a compromise or concession. Of course, we do not want a metal structure in the view of our property. Of course, we do not want the property directly across from our house to have 2 accessory structures. We are absolutely opposed to both of those things. My point in saying, and without attacking personally, which we choose not to do, my point in saying was we would be happy to accommodate those things, to forego our desires against a metal structure and against the excessive square footage of the buildings if the orientation returned. We are expressing a desire to compromise to allow them to build the building. I agree. People should be able to do whatever they want on their own property within the city codes. And it is, the people down the street as well that you asked on Newman Lane, most of them are in the county. They live a county life. They're not in the city. Our properties, if you look at the GIS, the zoning map, our properties are all conservation, the C district. And they're just are different. We all bought knowing we were in that district. We bought knowing who was around us. So again, so if that clarifies, we are opposed to the metal and to the square footage.
The reason I said that, Mayor, is because she had made the statement that, I believe, the exact word I can't be sure of, but I believe it looks more robust or grand or something like that. So that's what made me believe size is an issue.
Yeah, no problem.
I am going to support this.
All right. So, Commissioner Hill, did you want to weigh in any more on it, or are you?
Well, I'm not sure where we...
Well, this is what I'm going to point of clarification, because what he has asked is to deviate how it's written. And if I understand you gentlemen correctly, you're willing to do that? Are you willing to do that?
I would vote yes.
Okay. So, once again, we'd need a motion to amend as written, if that's the case.
I would
Scott?
concur. Yes, I concur with that, Mayor.
All right. So,
And
Scott, giddy up. You tell them how to do it, and then
This is
someone
just
can.
to strike condition 2 of section 2 of ordinance. The amendment would be to strike condition number 2 in section 2 of ordinance 4777.
So moved.
All right. May I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Sutherland. Any discussion? I have one question, okay? And this goes into how it's written. So the ZBA with the steel structure, I guess my question is this: on previous structures that we've supported up here, this council, that were steel, were they required to have a different facade? Is that something abnormal? Is that something above? Or because it goes back to the consistency.
Sure. So to be clear, there is a blanket statement in the code that speaks to that side which faces the street or the roadway is to be something different than sheet metal.
Okay.
But when we've approved these pole barn developments where it's an accessory structure on property, that's not always been required. That's, hey, it's as is, it's metal, because it's an accessory structure, not necessarily a primary one.
And some of the considerations too, if you guys recall, sometimes it's not visible by the public in any way, shape, or form. The one right up off of Centennial. Again, the guy had acreage surrounded by trees, and so that's where the zoning board, I'd say, deviates or makes an exception, because no one's going to see that. So again, you want ordinances and then you don't, or you even want some flexibility or gray area. Some of that gray area comes in. Some of these buildings are not even going to be seen, and that's where they have allowed the deviation from the dissimilar materials on the front.
Well, here's what's interesting. So this whole area is unique, and every one of us up here, this is a challenging thing. But to me, in the sense that it's unique, we've had our share. Commissioner Decker and I hosted a town hall. Newman Lane is actually a private roadway. We had those challenges. We had a town hall here. We heard from neighbors. They weren't always going to agree on what to see. The way it's zoned up there, to your point, makes it even more unique. I kind of look at this in the sense that it is on a private road. It's not like the public's going to be going up and down this roadway staring at this structure. So that kind of weighs on me. Not going to make everyone happy here tonight, just not. But at the end of the day, I think I will support it as amended, because it goes back in. As much as I want to be consistent, we haven't been consistent on these. These are one issue that's been before this council before. We just have not been consistent. And based on the uniqueness and its location and the setting it's in, I'm willing to support it as amended. But any other discussion? Hearing not, so we're voting on the motion to amend. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
No.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
4 ayes and 1 no, Your Honor.
All right, so that's the motion to amend. Now we have to vote on the motion as amended. Correct, Scott?
That's correct.
And we've already put the motion on the table. So roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
No.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
I have 4 ayes and 1 no, Your Honor.
Thank you. The motion is approved. Carries.
Okay, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 2324-114 hereto attached a resolution approving an engagement agreement between the City of East Peoria and Robert W. Baird and Company, Inc. for bond underwriting services be approved. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 2324-114 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
You heard earlier, and I think it was in the omnibus vote, we were talking about construction manager services that we recently approved the second reading tonight. Well, as part of, as we move forward on our thoughts and plans for the new police station, this goes along with that. You know, one of the considerations is how will we fund it, whether we'll fund it with alternate services or alternate revenue sources, source bonds, in which we've done that quite frequently here in the City of East Peoria. So what this resolution approves the letter with Robert W. Baird and Company for those underwriting services in the event that we decide to go that route with alternate revenue source bonds.
Yeah, this would be a first step should we decide as a council to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 2324-118 here to attach resolution of adoption of the updated Tri-County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan be approved. Mr. Mayor, I move you that this resolution number 2324-118 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mangus.
Okay, I'm going to just say a few comments and then turn it over to Ty, who is part of it. I guess every 5 years, the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission facilitates us going through this, reviewing our risks and our hazards, and does a deep dive and comes up with a plan on how we, not just us, but everybody in this Tri-County area can mitigate some of those risks that might have been uncovered during that planning. So Ty, you got
Thanks, Commissioner. So this is a great opportunity to get together with our Public Works Department, with our Fire Department, with the Drainage and Levee District, the Sanitary District, to look at anything that's a potential challenge, threat to the city, and take a look at what are some things we can do to help address those issues. So you can imagine things like flooding, earthquakes, how we address those situations. By identifying these, at least makes the city eligible for funding should we pursue it through FEMA or IEMA. There isn't any obligation to expend any funds, but it's a good way to identify, here's some of the issues, here's what we need to do, and try to put it on our radar and at least try to address over the next 5 years until we get to the next plan.
Very good. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that the reappointment by Mayor John P. Call of Ty Livingston, Director of Planning and Community Development, to the Tri-County River Valley Development Authority Board of Directors be hereby approved for a term beginning in 2024 and ending in 2026. And this resolution number 2324-116 be adopted as presented. Mr. Mayor, I move you that this resolution number 2324 be adopted as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
And some of them, people that, all the council, this is the TRIVDA board.
Oh, yeah.
And the TRIVDA board, as the description read, it's can be a funding source for various projects, and I'll actually, seeing that Ty has been a representative, let him give better, further details on the applications of this potential board funding.
So this board has bonding capacity for industrial and multifamily projects, and it may not be something that we end up using, but it is typically a very good opportunity to meet with other area banking representatives, other community representatives, to hear about the development that's happening within the area, and there is some value in that. But there are other projects that this group is a part of, and something that it's an option for economic development, and may or may not be something we take advantage of at some point.
And speaking of options, I reached out to Ty to ask if he'd want to continue serving on that, and his response was yes. So there you have it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 2324-117 here to attach, resolution approving the purchase of a 2023 Ford F-150 with liftgate fit out from Morrow Brothers Ford, Inc. for facilities management be approved. Mr. Mayor, I move you that this resolution number 2324-117 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
And this is a facilities-related truck replacing a 2015 three-quarter ton truck, and that three-quarter ton will go to Eastside for the landscaping division. The cost of this truck is $44,515, and it was part of the capital improvement plan. So, again, these guys, I actually asked Robert, as far as I thought I knew the answer, but why the lift gate? obviously with facilities, they're moving things around, furniture, air conditioners, furnaces, things of that type through many different kinds of uses. So again, saving their lifting backs. This is going to be a good use and much needed. And again, the other one, truck that was being used is going to be repurposed and maybe fit out. I wasn't clear on whether it has plow attachments on the one that we're giving.
Yeah, it'll be
giving
utilized
away.
by the east side crews.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you, motion carries.
Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 2324-120 here to attach, resolution approving revised use policy for the civic complex meeting rooms and shared spaces be approved. Mr. Mayor, I move you that this resolution number 2324-120 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus.
And this is some cleanup. One of the things, one of the major proposals, if you looked at the materials before the meeting, one of the things that's being prohibited and that was being added was that the rooms were not to be used for product selling or investment, raising funds for that are and raising funds. So again, that was something that was added, and really when I went through it, I think there's maybe some other little minor cleanup, but it's really, that was the major piece of updating this use policy.
Yeah, it was just for further clarification between the library and the city, because basically we've allowed business meetings, various things, but we've always had language in there restricting what that use is, and it's gotten to the point where there's a lot of requests that were coming in that didn't adhere to the purpose of this space. So we further refined it to make sure that both parties had a clear understanding as we scheduled this space that we're sitting in out. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, that completes it for me tonight.
Very good, thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Decker.
One item, Mayor, resolution number 2324-115. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 2324-115 here to attached, a resolution approving the purchase of a used 2016 skid steer loader from Tazewell County Asphalt Incorporated for the Street Department be approved. Mr. Mayor, I move you that this resolution number 2324-115 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus. As you can imagine, this will be greatly used by Public Works. Our previous one is 1997, and this is a 2016.
Just breaking it in.
Yeah, we are. The one we are looking at is used, 2016, has 5,000 hours. One thing Rick told me, I think he told me, I have a guess, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not sure it's true, how many hours we did have, but quite a bit more. But the great thing about this, and I love this about Rick, he looked into, he can smell a deal, and this is most of them, and he's got a bunch of examples in here, 42,500 to 97,500. This is just a great deal for us, and it will serve us for a long time.
That's been well maintained.
Yes.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you, motion carries.
That's all for me, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Commissioner Sutherland.
I have nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Very good, sir. Commissioner Mingus.
One item tonight, Your Honor, resolution number 2324-119. Be resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 2324-119 here to attach. It's a resolution authorizing and directing the payment of an invoice in the amount of $40,000 to the Fond du Lac Park District for use of park property and security detail at the Winter Wonderland lighted display from November 2023 to January 1st, 2024 be approved. Mr. Mayor, I move you that this resolution number 2324-119 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. We do this every year where we pay the Park District for their police officers to provide security at the Winter Wonderland, as well as, I guess the last 3 years, we did some work on Par 3 Lane, and the $10,000 for rental of the facility was waived, but that contract is over. So this is a total of $40,000 to the Park District, $30,000 for security detail, and $10,000 for use of the park.
And they are extremely busy every day while that place is open, so it's actually a good deal for both parties. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you, motion carries. Is that it?
That's all I have, Mayor.
That's all you had. Public comment? Anyone wish to address the council on a non-agenda item? And I'm seeing no one. Comments from the council. Commissioner Hill. Or Commissioner Decker.
So you caught me off guard.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going
I was
first.
just trying to mix it up a little bit.
I tell you, we've had quite a bit of snow recently, and this extremely cold weather is very difficult for all of our workers. But I really want to mention, so many people have talked about on Facebook and other places that I've heard. People have called me and texted me, and comments that I've heard about what a good job that our plowing crews did. Now being such a cold environment, not only them, all of our city workers, doesn't slow them down. They're doing a great job, so I really appreciate their effort. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill.
Well, I had nothing, but just to build off of that example, giving the street itself, which is the last things that get plowed, but my drive to work that day was clear all the way down Route 8 to Interstate 74, 74 to Peoria. Beautiful. I mean, like it hadn't snowed, but had many coworkers that were now the northwest side of town, which was, a little heavier, granted. They didn't make it to work that day. Some from Morton didn't make it. So, again, our guys do a very good job, and I also want to commend them. That's about it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sutherland.
East Oakwood Avenue, the main is in. I think I've said that before. Due to the weather, the laterals, the surfaces haven't been put in yet to the houses. We'll get it tested and approved. And then probably in about 2 or 3 weeks, we'll get back up on Avondale, and hopefully we'll be done digging up Avondale, putting the main in within 4 to 6 weeks. There's a couple things that I was pinned down by a couple good questions about the sewer cap and the price and the cost and the longevity of it. I was not a part of this organization up here when that was figured out, when it was negotiated with the EPA and the banks and all that kind of stuff. But I will say that I may have to eat a little bit of crow on having a limit of terms, because this is a perfect example one of the items that the mayor mentioned a couple weeks ago, because it'll be over my cold dead body that sewer cap gets extended because of there's greedy fingers in the till, and that's an easy way to collect money, and that's already being collected. When the obligation of the bonds are paid off, the sewer cap comes off. Final with me. That's my word. As far as I'm concerned, every vote that I have will be that direction. So if anybody thinks that there's going to be something ill going on, I think that if I was to be gone tomorrow, the other 4 members up here would agree with me 100%. But you never know who's going to be up here in the year 2035.
43, if you're talking about when the thing is actually by ordinance to roll off.
Well, but I'm saying, but if you have enough votes, it can be changed.
Yeah.
It won't sunset. And a lot of communities have done that to their citizens, and I just don't know how they can live with themselves after they do that. Also, I want to bring up an idea that on two Sherry streets, just something to think about, guys. I'm not sticking it out there, just something to talk about, is to be able to have licensed drivers, adults, drive four-wheelers or golf carts on our public streets that are not a busy thoroughfare. In other words, like with all the snow and stuff like that, is it legal to get a four-wheeler out and help a neighbor out up the street, or are you going to get a ticket? Technically, you're going to get a ticket. So there's exceptions to every rule. When the city banned snowmobiles a few years back, I thought that was an overreach of the city, and I'd like that to be looked at too, because as long as they're not hurting anybody or hurting anything, they do more good than damage most of the time, if it's a licensed driver behind the machine. I think our government, all in all, has lost their minds about telling me what I can and can't do. I'm going to be a felon here if I buy more bullets for my gun than what originally came for it, and be able to chamber them up like that anyhow. I guess I'm not using the right terminology. But I'm still the same Mike Sutherland. I'm not going to go out and shoot somebody because I have more of a capacity in my gun to do that. Those people have a special problem in life, and I hope I'll never have met one or will become one. If I want to stain my house because of Pritzker, I have to order my stain, my oil-based stain, over to the Ace Hardware in Iowa, drive over there, pick it up, and bring it back home to stain my house, because it's illegal for me to buy a good oil-based stain in Illinois. You can't buy certain types of light bulbs, and I mean incandescent light bulbs in Illinois that you can find in other states. I think that the government has completely lost their minds, and somewhere along the lines, we got to put our feet down and we got to say enough is enough. And I'm hoping this next 9 or 10 months is when that happens. I really do, guys. I'm done.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Meeks.
Yeah, I had one thing, Your Honor, but just to touch on one thing that Commissioner Sutherland did mention, I have had residents approach me about not necessarily four-wheelers, but golf cart ordinances on low-speed streets, and especially in neighborhoods. You know, I'm thinking neighborhood out by Armstrong School, Circuit Street, or Circuit Court, District, Liberty. And I would be in favor that, I hadn't thought about that. I researched it a little bit. There are neighboring communities that are even larger than us that do have those rules that they limit where you can have them, and they charge, and they have to have turn signals and the triangle on the back. I would be interested in at least looking at that if there is support for that. So I'm not saying I want them down in the levy district, but in neighborhoods, certain areas, I think that could make sense, and honestly, it could be a revenue source for the city if you charge for a inspection and license. So anyway, I wasn't going to bring that up, but I do think that would be at least worth looking at. What I was going to bring up is the new fire station. I have had questions on the new fire station and when it's going to open. We are getting there. I don't want to give a specific date, but we do have some things on the inside that have to get done. I know it looks done on the outside. I know I was told that we plowed the driveway or whatever the other day, so it looks done, but we have to get, the biggest thing we have to get are the radios still installed in there. So once we get that done and a few other things, we are looking at getting that open. So that is coming down the road. I don't have a specific date, but I do feel like we should be transparent with what's going on there, so.
Yeah, it's probably going to be within hopefully, according to the chief, he'd like to see it in the next 30 days or so. So it is dependent upon the radios being installed there. Kind of the last piece of the puzzle. Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to give a shout out to Public Works. Outstanding job clearing the roadways and taking care of what needed to be done in these absolutely frigid Arctic conditions, but they've done an outstanding job, so hats off to them. With respect to the golf carts and side-by-sides, this actually topic came up about 2 years ago in the Mayor's Association meeting, and a lot of municipalities have already adopted stuff allowing them. I would be open to working with staff to take a look at what other communities have done and see if there's a desire by the council. We can send it back out, get some feedback from you guys, and if that's something you guys are supportive of as a whole, we can certainly bring that forward. But willing to work with Ty and staff on taking a look and seeing if there's something in play there. Aside from that, I don't care to discuss what's in my house, and no one's got a need to know. So there you have it. I'd seek a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn until Tuesday evening, February 6, 2024, at 6 p.m.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. We are adjourned until we meet again.